Blink twice if you need help. Hey guys, welcome back to the Weekly Web Activist. It's Lydia, and this week we are doing a back to school special titled Black Students Matter: How to Find Support Within Schools and Grow as a Student of Color. And so, this will not be a school video without wearing a school shirt. Go Eagles. Anyways, we're going to be talking about a lot of different ways on how to deal with school administrators, teachers, your peers, and then also how to grow as a Black student and how to continue motivating and pushing yourself to get through school. Hopefully you guys are having a good time at school. I know a lot of kids are going online this year, including me. I'm at my house. Pray for me. This video is really just going to be about navigating all those things during COVID-19 and how it switches the status quo up, and hopefully it'll just be some advice for you guys to remember or share with a friend that needs to hear it. So let's go. So we're going to start this video off with school tips and navigating school spaces during COVID-19. Personally, I know being a person of color, a student of color, and a Black student in high school can honestly suck sometimes. You know, you can be racially profiled by your administration, harassed by your teachers, constantly disrespected by your peers, and within all of this, you may have AP classes to study for, friends to check in on, or problems at home. Like, we're busy people and we are multifaceted people, and so with everything going on right now, hopefully this video can serve as some advice on how to get through it and how to make sure that you stay safe at school as a Black student and as a student of color. So let's face it, we've all had that one assistant principal or SRO that wants to give us a hard time that we don't deserve. And so as a student of color, it's important to have avenues and ways to combat these incidents. The first thing that you want to do is that if you feel you are being harassed by a school resource officer or an assistant principal, you want to make sure that you document those incidents. You know, what did they specifically say or do to you, and how often did these incidents happen? Make sure that you write those things down, and you may want to have your parents help you with that. But by doing that, like, you can use it to file like official reports or anything if you feel the need to later, and it will come in handy. The second tip is that if you're a non-Black or white student, you want to make sure that you help your peers out. Some adults feel empowered by abusing their power, and if there's not anyone to witness it, then they're going to do just that, you know. So make sure that if one of your Black friends gets stopped in the hallway for like a pass or whatever, you know, like, make sure that you don't just keep walking and ignore the situation. You know, if you see something happening like that you know like is wrong, like, make sure that you speak up about it and make sure that you report that incident to administration or anybody that you know. You know, doing your part that way is super important as well. The third tip is to set up meetings with your administrations and your counselor. As a student, it may be like really difficult and nerve-wracking to speak to administration, or you might just be like so pissed off at what happened you can't see a reason why you would purposely want to put yourself in the office or the student services. But this is actually really important. Using these avenues are really important because you're presenting yourself and the method that is usually most listened to by adults, and a lot of people, including adults, can be ignorant to how it feels to live as a POC, as a student of color, you know, in a school where those students are over policed and not recognized and appreciated. And so make sure that your administration knows exactly how that feels, and hopefully they'll be open to continuing that dialogue. So connecting with teachers is already difficult, and then you throw a pandemic and being a student of color into the mix, and it may seem like practically impossible. But don't worry, because we have tips for that too. Number one, make sure that the teacher knows who you are. If this means sending an email to introduce yourself, going to their office hours, or staying on after like your Zoom call classes or however your school is running it, make sure that you do that, and make sure that they can put a face to the name, and make sure that they really know you. This isn't just for college apps, but this is also for interactions that may happen in class. Teachers have a lot of kids that they're teaching and looking after, and so they won't exactly know everyone unless you go out of your way to make sure that that happens. And don't accept the microaggression of like nicknames or, oh, I can't pronounce your name, so let me call you something else. Like, no, be proud of who you are, you know who you are, and make sure that the teacher knows and understands that. And so doing this will make it easier to get help from the teacher if you ever need it. Our second tip is to ask for feedback if you get a bad grade. Make sure you know what mistakes you have made on an assignment so that you're able to improve your work. This may be uncomfortable, but it's sometimes necessary, and it's a necessary conversation to have so that the teacher understands that you are working towards, growth and improvement, and also that you just understand like where the teacher is coming from and why you're getting the grades that you are. If the teacher doesn't have a concrete reason on why they didn't accept your work, and if they are repeatedly failing you, this may be a red flag that you need to get administration involved, or it's something else going on there within class. And then our third tip is to find other resources and to not let a teacher dictate your education. So as a Black person, it's really easy to feel small within a classroom. You may have no choice but to accept living and working within a racist environment or an environment that doesn't benefit you or doesn't support you. And so when this happens, like, you don't just give up, but you have to look for other alternative resources. So our resources are free tutoring. A lot of schools have this, and a lot of times upperclassmen will tutor underclassmen for service hours or anything like that. You may be able to find places where teachers from other schools will tutor, so make sure that you look out for those lists and those programs and try to involve yourself in them. Usually they're also done by service organizations like the National Honor Society, or anything like that, so just make sure that you look for those opportunities. Also, YouTube and Khan Academy literally save grades. May not save lives, but they save grades. Like, make sure that you're using your online resources. Make sure that you're really taking time to go through the concepts by yourself, not just the information that you get from the teacher, but like using other ways and other methods of learning that same content, and it will really help improve your grade and make sure that you're staying on track. And so if you're doing all of this, or you don't have the means to do all of this, but the teacher is still profiling, harassing, or targeting you, or if they're unwilling to help you, then you should definitely check out your school's policies on switching classes and make sure that you have a talk with your counselor. There's absolutely no shame in doing what's best for your education. So if a class doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you. And you have to remember, like, your focus is you, especially when it comes to your education. So don't get guilt tripped into taking a class because your friends are taking it. Like, do what's best for your specific education. So group projects are group projects. I mean, like, some people hate them, some people, a very small amount of people, actually like them, but we can all agree that meeting up with your friends to study or doing a group presentation will be a lot harder with COVID-19. And so if you have the freedom to choose the people that you work with, make sure that they're not just not visibly racist, but make sure that they respect you and that they respect your ideas and your opinions, and they also just respect the value that you bring to your group project or to your team. It's very common that the first people that are so comfortable in their self-proclaimed allyship are the people to say, oh, Black Lives Matter, but then they're the last to listen to Black voices, thoughts, and opinions. And so just be wary of these people and try to avoid working with them for your professional growth and honestly your mental health, okay? Also, remember that connecting with people is important within COVID-19. So just because it's a pandemic doesn't mean that you get to like isolate yourself. Like, you need to still be forming relationships and connecting with people even online. And so try to have maybe weekly Zoom calls or FaceTimes with your friends. And remember that even if you're at home or working online, breaks are important and connecting with people is important. So make sure that you put that into your schedule. Also, if your peers just want to be racist, transphobic, xenophobic, homophobic, sexist, whatever they're doing that is not within your core values and should not be within your core values, make sure that with those people you don't engage, you don't break your boundaries, and you don't rely on their apology for your peace of mind. Those types of people are not worth your time, and your intelligence is not measured by your relationships with them. So yeah, that's about it for working with peers. So at this point in the video, we talked about how to deal with different people, but you may be like, hey Lydia, like, how do I work on myself? And that's a totally valid question as well. And so I would say, number one, consider joining your school's Black Student Union, whether it's an association, coalition, whatever you call it in your area. But then don't feel that it's an obligation simply because you're Black. Like, do what's best for you. If you aren't Black but you belong to a marginalized group within your school environment, then consider joining groups that are similar to this as well, such as like the Muslim Students Association or other groups like that. Doing this can help you connect and receive support from your peers that understand your struggles and are going through similar things themselves, and it can also involve yourself more in your school's community than you would have been otherwise. I was part of my school's Black Student Union last year, and they put on talent shows and had service projects and speakers, and honestly it was just a ton of fun, and it really enhanced my high school experience. And so I would say just try to join one. Like, those are really fun groups and clubs. And then I also want to put a shout out here to the Wake County Black Student Coalition. I'm a member of them, and they're based in Wake County, North Carolina, and they're doing just an absolutely fantastic job of fighting against the criminalization of Black youth and really letting student voices be organized and unified and heard within Wake County, talking to the Board of Education and talking to other activist groups within the area. And so I would definitely consider, if you are in Wake County, consider joining that group. It's just a great support system, like I said before, and being part of the opportunities that they have is really fun and exciting as well. And so our second tip is that you have room for mistakes and room for growth. Do not feel an added pressure of performing well in school, or otherwise like you're feeding into a minority stereotype. Like, no, this is so not true. Allow yourself to be a normal teen. Give yourself grace. Work hard, but then realize that you shouldn't be penalized more for your race when it comes to academics. Like, life is too short for that. You are a Black student, but you're also a Black teenager, and at the end of the day, you just have to understand that you are multifaceted. Like I said before earlier in the video, it's not either or. You're living within all of these sections and all of these places, of society, and you should honestly just celebrate that and understand how that affects your everyday life. So thank you guys so much for watching the video. I just want to plug our upcoming video with the Southern Coalition for Social Justice. We interviewed them, had a great time, and so make sure that you guys check that out soon whenever it comes out. And then I also want to plug WCBSC again. Their links will be in the description below. Make sure that you check them out, especially if you're within my area. And also, the applications for the Weekly Web Activist are still open, and so make sure that you get your application in. We have 5 executive positions and membership positions available, and so please reach out to me personally. You probably know who I am, and I will answer any of your questions for that, and so I'm so looking forward to reading the responses, and I just really hope that you guys join the Weekly Web Activist family and feel empowered by our content. And so, like always, continue to be Weekly Web Activist. Thank you.